Good afternoon. My name is Lynette Humphreys, and I'm going to be doing my presentation today for my oral communications course for the College of the North Atlantic. Today for my presentation, I'm going to talk about the historical event of the Battle of Somme and Beaumont-Hamel and the valiant Royal Newfoundland Regiment. It was a beautiful day in St. John's Harbour. The sun shone bright, glistening on the water as it peeked over the Narrows. The smell of the Atlantic Ocean was as prominent as the cry of the seagulls, doing graceful aerobatics overhead. The harbour front was full of people that day, more than it ever was before. Young men from all across Newfoundland were eagerly waiting to board the boat destined for the shores of England to fight in the First World War. These men formed an infantry regiment for the province of Newfoundland called the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. The history of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment dates back as far as April 25th, 1795, with its formation in St. John's as a unit of the British Army, with members coming from all over the then country of Newfoundland. With the presence of the First World War looming over them, the valiant Newfoundland soldiers embarked on a mission that would be named the Battle of Somme and Beaumont-Hamel. Beaumont-Hamel was a small village in England that became historical for the devastation endured here during the First World War. The Battle of the Somme began early morning, July 1st, 1916, and was hoped to be a quick victory of attack, but unfortunately it dragged on until late November. This battle took place near the village of Beaumont-Hamel. It is here that honorable soldiers were attacked by the Germans in a gruesome battlefield. Thousands of soldiers from Britain and Newfoundland climbed over the trenches to walk through a shower of bullets toward the German line. The attack began by the British artillery bombarding the enemy line on June 24th. The next 7 days consisted of a brigade of shells and artillery to try to weaken and destroy German defenses. With the Germans well protected in very deep dugouts, this didn't happen as they had planned. The plan for the Royal Newfoundland Regiment was to advance after two other British brigades and capture a third position support trench. 0 hour was 0730. At this time, the first two battalions ran up the trench steps and onto the dreaded battlefield. At this time, the Newfoundland Regiment remained in the trenches, watching the soldiers before them fall under the fierceness of the enemy's attack, some of them getting shot and falling back into their own trenches, where there was dead bodies and wounded. At 0800 hours, there was confusion along the lines, as the first two attacks were not successful. However, the British generals were receiving conflicting reports from soldiers in the battlefield. By 0830, the battlefield loomed quiet. And at 0845, the Newfoundland Regiment received orders to advance. Now the movement of soldiers through the trenches became more difficult due to the carnage of dead bodies and the wounded filling the trenches. It was then decided the Newfoundland Regiment should proceed over land rather than using the trench system. This is where the phrase, "over the top," came to light. The soldiers had then an additional 250 meters of their own land to cross to get into no man's land. While in the battlefield, the Newfoundland soldiers were completely alone. The regiment was divided into 4 companies, A, B, C, and D. Companies A and B first moved and were almost immediately hit and began to fall under the fire of the German machine guns. The men, after making it through the gunfire, had to pass through pre-cut gaps of a barbed wire fence. Unfortunately, the German gunners had those gaps targeted, where it was later discovered that this is where most of the casualties occurred. It was discovered that there were heaps of men lying dead in the field. The C and D companies followed behind shortly after. very few soldiers remained. At 09:45, the regiment's commanding officer was saddened to report to headquarters that the attack had failed. The outcome of the Somme and Beaumont-Hamel was bleak. The final roll call revealed that 233 soldiers from the Newfoundland Regiment had died. 386 were wounded, and 91 were missing and later presumed to be dead. Only 110 men remained after the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel. A staggering casualty percentage rate of 85% revealed the devastation of the battle. The heroism and bravery shown by the Royal Newfoundland Regiment is a prominent reminder of how many Newfoundland men have proven to be great historical figures in our community from the outcome of the First World War. Although we suffered an abundant loss of many great people, it's important to recognize and honor our soldiers for their dedication and fight for our freedom. The historical event of the Battle of Somme and Beaumont-Hamel, as well as the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, will be remembered forever, lest we forget. Thank you.